Hey guys, Red Gambit's back, and this time I wanted to bring you my impressions of Dragon Age Inquisition on the Xbox One. Now, obviously this isn't a review of the game since it was only released a day ago, but in that time I've played probably a good 10 hours or so, and I'd like to share with you guys my first impressions of the game. Now, Dragon Age Inquisition is a game that's set in a fantasy world where war has broken out between mages and the Templar who existed to protect and guard them. The reason for this is that anyone who has natural affinity for magic can also visit a place called the Fade, where magic and demons reside. Those demons will try to tempt the mages into using their powers for evil, and will even teach them the forbidden rites of blood magic if the mage will allow them to do so. In order to keep a watchful eye on the mages, the Templar were created to guard the mages and, if necessary, dispatch any who would stray from the path of righteousness. However, over the course of the two previous Dragon Age games, those relationships have become strained to the point where the mages have broken away from the Templar completely, and now presumably indulge their thirst for magic without supervision or oversight. The first thing that will probably strike anyone playing this game, be it a veteran of Dragon Age or as a newcomer, you're probably going to find the game feels very much like Skyrim. Dragons are without a doubt the big bad of the Dragon Age universe, and encountering one early on will mean certain death for anyone under almost any circumstance. Beyond that, the game is unlike its predecessors in that it is very much an open world game. A myriad of quests and activities are scattered around different areas, along with resources that you can mine and harvest for the game's crafting system. Speaking of systems, the game has an incredibly robust character creation process. While you can't change the physique or stature of your character, your options for adjusting their appearance are incredibly varied and in-depth. I must have spent at least an hour crafting every little nuance of my mage to make sure she looked just right, only to hit the wrong button and start all over. But that's not really the game's fault. Graphics in the game are a little bit of a mixed bag. While the open areas are very detailed and have a lot of very nice weather and environmental effects, you will experience pop-in from time to time. Additionally, the frame rate seems to hover somewhere between 20 to 30 frames per second most of the time. And facial animations can come across as looking a bit stiff as well. That said, overall it still is a good looking game. Gameplay wise, I've found myself wandering around a lot, doing heaps of side quests. The game's questing system is based on a power currency, where completing side missions and objectives awards you with power, which you can then use to explore the main storyline. I find this to be a little bit of a double-edged sword, because while I am a completionist, and I have every intention of exploring as much as I can of this game, but being forced to do so feels like the developers are trying to pad the game's length. Which is a strange choice, given how, from most reports, I've heard this is around an 80 to 90 hour game. Combat early on feels a little restrictive, but gradually opens up to give you a lot of choices. You can pause the action at any time to issue orders, or switch between party members. Though so far I'm finding it rarely required to switch, since the AI seems to do a reasonable job of tackling most situations, with the tanks automatically taunting enemies and your allies using their abilities quite liberally. My biggest gripe with the game is that after just a day of playing it, I've already witnessed what I would say is a completely unacceptable number of bugs and glitches for a major release on a next generation console. Some of the issues I've witnessed are fairly minor, like seagulls coming to perch on thin air, or a smith forging a sword that hovers around a foot above the anvil. That kind of stuff doesn't really bother me, and I'm happy to let it slide if I'm enjoying the game. However, some of the more game-breaking issues which I have witnessed would include sound dropping out if you open a menu while pausing during a fight, conversation wheels being completely unresponsive during a conversation unless you open the same menu during a prompt, button prompts remaining on screen during a cutscene, dropping out to the Xbox dashboard and then being unable to re-enter the game, and the game crashing completely when speaking to a quest giver and then strangely causing the Xbox's system fan to go into overdrive when restarting the game. Now look, I'm not one of those people with an overinflated sense of entitlement when it comes to games. Games release with bugs. It happens. You're never going to find every single glitch or error during testing no matter how thorough you are. But this is on a whole nother level. The only company I've seen will release games with this level of bugging is Bethesda, which is a little ironic given the similarities between the two games, or perhaps the recently released Assassin's Creed. While I'm doing my best to not let these errors taint my experience of the game, Honestly, I'm a little concerned for what the next 80 hours may hold. This game needs a day 1 patch quite literally yesterday. On top of all that, I'm a huge fan of BioWare. I loved the old Knights of the Old Republic games. I played the Old Republic MMO just for the storyline. And the Mass Effect trilogy remains my favorite 3 games of all time. Hell, I like Mass Effect 3 so much I didn't take issue with the original ending before it was updated due to complaints. But to me, the Dragon Age series has always been the black sheep of the BioWare family. Origins was a competent if slightly bland experience, and Dragon Age 2 was a better game in terms of story, but it came up short due to many of the dungeons being rushed and copy-paste jobs. I was really hoping that Inquisition would be the game to bring a Mass Effect level storytelling to the Dragon Age universe, but so far it's hard to tell if that's the case. In any event, I'm still finding the game to be very enjoyable. There's a lot of exploring to be done in every area, and you'll be rewarded with quests and schematics or even hidden caves full of high-level loot if you want to complete the game's stargazing activities. Overall, I'm still enjoying this title. If you're interested, I would certainly recommend that you pick it up. I just hope that BioWare are working on a patch for the game so that we can all enjoy this game the way that it's meant to be played. That's it for me, and I look forward to bringing you a full rant review once I finish the game. I hope this was helpful, and please leave a comment if you have any questions or thoughts of your own. Until then, I will catch you guys in the beautiful world of Thetis.